joining me today. Much, much appreciated. I wanted to have you, Gil and Sean, just to chat briefly about the upcoming NYC HIP conference that we're having hosted on November 9th. Maybe you can, whoever wants to jump in, can you give me a brief overview of what's the HIP conference all about? Because it's been running for several years now.
It's a technology-focused conference. I'd say technology community-focused conference, specializing in identity-related security topics. It has its roots in the old Directory Experts Conference that I started when I was at NEPRO, which grew to be a really great community of technologists. I mean, I think that's where I met Sean ultimately, was at one of the DEC conferences. And we've incorporated that same model into HIP, which is no marketing, no vendor booths and fireworks and that sort of stuff. It's really just technology discussions with smart people. In fact, that was the whole game originally, was let's get a bunch of smart people in a room and see what happens. That's sort of the genesis of the whole event. And we've been doing it now. Oh yeah, go ahead.
And let me ask you this. No, identity is such a big thing, and it's been a big thing since computing started, right? So you mentioned specifically it's around identity technologies, right? But what kind of topics should we expect to hear about? And there's always advancement, even though it's been around for such a long time. There's always advancement in identity and in the security of the identity, right?
There is, but identity technologies and platforms tend to be really sticky, and they don't go away very quickly. So we'll spend a good amount of time on Active Directory related security concepts. So, how do you prepare your Active Directory to make it more secure? How do you respond to a cyber attack on your Active Directory? What are some of the things you have to watch out for in AD? And then we've extended that to incorporate hybrid identity scenarios as well. So when you connect your Active Directory up to, say, Azure Active Directory or Okta or something like that, that in some ways makes you more secure, but it also expands the surface area of possible attacks on your identity system. So those are the kinds of topics that we'll be talking about.
It's interesting. So should only Active Directory or identity professionals should attend?
Well, actually, the identity, we're really encompassing 22 years worth of identity if you think of Active Directory at the beginning of that. And so we're still talking about things that have become more relevant today than they ever were, which is remarkable because it's been so long. Who would have thought that Active Directory would have been more important now than it was, say, 15 years ago? And then the 22 years up to literally in the last few days, there have been some new capabilities introduced into Azure Active Directory Conditional Access, which is the heart of the security system for Azure Active Directory that we'll probably end up talking about at the conference. So the whole gamut from the beginning to where we are today.
So it's a full day event. We are about to kick it off at 8:30, 9 a.m. And then it's a whole day until like 4:30. And I think there's a happy hour and we wrap up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. So it's a bit of a commitment. It's a full day. What do you feel like the kind of the top takeaways that someone should expect from attending this conference?
With a strong interest in cybersecurity topics, because even though we're focusing on the identity aspect of it, every cybersecurity attack goes through the identity system at some point or another, which means 90% of the time it's going through Active Directory in some way. Either the attackers are using it for reconnaissance, or they're using it for lateral movement, or they're using it actually as a target, because if you take out an organization's Active Directory, you've effectively rendered their Windows network useless as well. So I think anybody who's interested in cybersecurity this would be a great place for them to come to.
Yeah, I would second that because I think anyone that works in security now is seeing that credential-focused attacks, identity-focused attacks are really becoming the major path to exfiltrating data from the company and attacks in general. And actually, Gartner just created a new category called identity threat detection and response to recognize that. When Gil was doing DEC, and then when he and I would attend the Gartner IAM conferences, there would be like 200 people in the conferences. And then we watched as identity came from being what was really system administrators. We didn't say we were identity professionals. And then we watched the conferences grow and grow and grow, and identity become central to so much of what happens in computing and certainly in security today, especially, with the what's needed in the internet and the cloud.
Yeah, I think I've generally heard feedback that half of the value of the conference is the people that you meet. And it's not just the attendees in the audience, but it's the speakers as well, because you get to hang out. We all hang out together and talk about whatever's top of mind. And it'll be identity and security related topics for sure. And we tend to attract very smart, experienced people. So it's not sort of novice land at these conferences.
Right, because you'll be meeting with your peers that are maybe running some of the largest financial organizations. They'll be experiencing the same kind of issues. You can talk to them about best practices. So don't come in at the last second and leave the instant the gavel has dropped, as it were, because it's the networking with people that is going to be so special. One last little tidbit: if you go to HIPConf.com, HIPConf.com, and look under Explore, you'll see a collection of our past sessions. And to give an idea of the highly technical versions of these, for example, one of the identity leaders for Accenture talking about the way the company is working its way towards moving to passwordless, for example.
So if you want your mind to get blown up, around the identity space, please make sure that you attend the event. Looking forward to seeing you there on November 9th. Thank you again. Much appreciated.